Okay, good morning, everyone, and happy Sunday. I'm sorry, actually, last night we went home like around 11 or 10 from our exchange pulpit with another church. We have this program we call exchange pulpit. So our church will go to another church and we will handle all the program from Sabbath school to AY. So and then after the afternoon program in the evening, our men here wants to stay for basketball game. So that's why we went home late at night. But anyway, it's a beautiful day today here in Thailand, but still our air quality is not yet good. It's still unhealthy. So let's proceed. Let's continue with our course, Community Chaplaincy and Ministry to Marginalized Sector. So we have already our, what's this, our GC in our messenger. So maybe I will send there our, what's this, lesson, no? From module 1 to 3 because we are now module 4. I'm sorry also because we are so busy also in our school here this week because we are, our final exam is coming also. It will be this week. So we are busy preparing for our final test, for the test papers. So, and also our church activities. Anyway, praise God for giving us this good health. So good morning once again, everyone. So we are now in our module 4, and this will be our part 1. And our module 4 is about ethics. So we will learn, no, in this module 4, we are going to learn. So the focus of this, before we will start, let me share to you some Bible verse from First Peter 5 verses 2 to 6. It says, He has shown you, O mortal, what is good and what does the Lord require. You wait first. I think I did not change because First Peter 5 verse 2 to 3 it says, I'm sorry for that. Feed the flock of God which is among you, not as being lords over God's heritage, but being examples to the flock. So as a chaplain, it is not about control, but about example. Ethical ministry respects the dignity, freedom, and boundaries of others. We lead not by authority or force, but by Christ-like character with humility and care. So let's have a recap of our previous lesson. In our previous lesson, we learned that seeing the person, not the category. So we are going to recognize each individuals as unique human beings. We are not going to label them based on their situation, background, or condition. And then from awareness to ethical engagement. So meaning awareness is not enough alone. Okay? Awareness alone is not enough. Chaplains must move from simply recognizing needs and suffering to responding in ways that are ethical, respectful, and what? Responsible. And we also learned that chaplaincy posture toward marginalized communities. So in here, posture refers to the chaplain's attitude and approach. What is our approach? How are we going to approach? Okay. And chaplain must serve with humility, empathy, and cultural sensitivity, not as what? Superior or rescuers, but as companions who listens, support, and walk alongside people in their struggles. So that is what we learn in our module 3 last week. So here we are reminded that chaplaincy begins with seeing each person's dignity, no? Responding with ethical and respectful care and maintaining a humble and compassionate posture. And these principles help build trust and ensure that ministry reflects what? Christ's love while protecting the well-being of those we serve. So we are now entering module 4, and this is the overview of this module. We are going to focus on the ethical foundations and professional boundaries essential for community chaplaincy, especially when working among marginalized and vulnerable populations. While compassion and justice motivated ministry, ethics and boundaries protect both the chaplain and the community. So in this module, it helps us to understand that good intentions are not enough. Ethical clarity, self-awareness, and appropriate limits are necessary to prevent harm, dependency, burnout, and misuse of power. So in here, we will be guided to see boundaries not as barriers to care, but as structures that make trust, safety, and dignity possible in chaplaincy relationship. For this module, here are the learning objectives. So we are going to learn, here it says, learn, we are going to learn the importance of ethics and boundaries and community chaplaincy. And then we're going to identify the common ethical risks when serving marginalized communities. And then distinguish between appropriate pastoral care and role confusion. Demonstrate awareness of power, dynamics, and vulnerability scenarios. Vulnerability. And then apply ethical decision-making principles in community chaplaincy scenarios. And then the last one is practice chaplaincy that is compassionate, professional, and non-coercive. So in here, this is our objectives for this module. Can you excuse me for one? Okay, I'm sorry, I have a call. Okay, let's start ethics and boundaries and community chaplaincy. So before we proceed, I have here a question. You can answer if you want to share. When does helping become harmful? Before we proceed with our, what's this? Module 4. I have a question here. When does helping become harmful? Anyone wants to share? I can maybe accommodate one or two participants. Sorry, what happened? Anyone who wants to share when does helping become harmful? Okay.
Ma'am, I don't know, maybe when we don't recognize our boundaries.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Sir Brighton. Thank you so much. Yes. What happened to my slide? Okay. Okay, thank you very much for that. Oops, sorry. Okay, my laptop is not cooperating with me. It's my slide. Okay, so when does helping become harmful? Okay, so we are going to learn that here in our module 4 in our lesson today. So thank you very much, Sir Brighton. Yes. Okay. So it says here why ethics matter in community chaplaincy. Why do you think that ethics matter? So as we all know that community chaplains often work with people, with this kind of people, and we are going to discuss each group and why ethics are important. So the first one we have here is financial resources for their basic needs such as food, housing, healthcare, or education. Because of their need, they may depend heavily on chaplains for help. And this creates a risk of dependency or feeling obligated to agree with the chaplain, even in spiritual matters. Chaplains must avoid using their position to influence or control people through material assistance. Okay, so that is why ethics is very important. So because they believe that we are chaplains and every word that we are about to advise or give, they will believe it. So we have to be careful as chaplains. We must avoid using our position to influence or to control people. What else? Emotionally distressed. Emotionally distressed, these individuals may be experiencing grief, depression, anxiety, fear, or emotional pain. So in this condition, they are more sensitive and easily influenced. So as a chaplain, what are we going to do? Chaplains must be careful not to manipulate emotions or give advice beyond their competence, but instead provide support, presence, and appropriate guidance. Next, why ethics matters in community chaplaincy? Because of what? Socially associated. Socially associated people have little or no support from family, friends or community because they may feel lonely. They can become overly attached to the chaplain. So ethical boundaries, as what Brother Vital said, boundaries is very important, are important to prevent unhealthy emotional dependence and to encourage healthy support system beyond the chaplain relationship. What else? Spiritually searching. Spiritually searching individuals are seeking meaning, purpose, or answers about faith. They may be open and vulnerable to spiritual influence, but chaplains, remember that we must respect their freedom and avoid coercion, like forcing beliefs or taking advantage of their openness. You may say, oh, I can now give Bible study because this person is very open. So spiritual care must always be offered with respect and consent. And then, what else? Experiencing crisis or trauma. So those people in crisis or trauma may be facing loss, disaster, what else? Illness, violence, or major life disruption. So in such moments, their ability to think clearly may be affected. No? Yung bang you are in the situation where you have a problem, you cannot think properly. So chaplains must act with what? Sensitivity. Avoid giving harmful advice. You have to be careful. And provide calm, ethical, and supportive care that promotes healing and safety. So this situation, what we learn, this situation increased vulnerability, which means chaplains must practice strong ethics and clear boundaries. Ethical care protects people from harm, prevents misuse of influence, and ensures that chaplaincy remains safe, respectful, and compassionate. These realities increase risk of harm if ethics are unclear. I want you to remember this, fellow classmates, that ethics protect the dignity, freedom, and safety of those we serve. And ethics guide chaplains to act with integrity, restraint, and accountability. So that is why ethics matter in community chaplaincy. Understanding boundaries. Why we should understand it? Because boundaries define what a chaplain can and cannot do within their role. So sometimes you may say, oh, I'm a chaplain. I can do everything. I am a chaplain now. I am an ordained chaplain. I can do anything. Okay? So always remember that there are boundaries. And this will define what can and we cannot do. They help ensure that care is safe, respectful, and professional. So we have here a list. These are the healthy boundaries. What are these healthy boundaries? Clarify expectation. Boundaries help both the chaplains and the person understand the chaplain's role clearly. So this prevents confusion about what the chaplain can offer, such as spiritual support and listening, and what is outside their responsibility, such as financial support or professional counseling. Okay? So that is the healthy boundaries as a chaplain, no? Not only for the chaplain, this will help also the person to understand our role as a chaplain. What else? Prevent dependency. So in this, healthy boundaries prevent people from becoming overly reliant on the chaplain for what? Their emotional, their spiritual or personal needs. The goal is to empower individuals and encourage their own strength and support systems, not to make them dependent on the chaplain. They may think, okay, today that Mr. Chaplain will come and visit me. Okay, they are always, no? So we should prevent this. Number 3, the next one is protect emotional and spiritual safety. So these are the healthy boundaries. The boundaries protect both the chaplain and the person from emotional harm. What else? From manipulation or inappropriate relationships. This ensures that care remains respectful, safe, and focused on the person's well-being. So as a chaplain, we should protect the emotional and the spiritual safety. And then, what else? Preserve professional credibility. So when chaplains maintain clear boundaries, you know already, they build trust and respect. Professional conduct shows integrity and helps others have confidence in the chaplain's role and ministry. So that is why we need to understand these boundaries, because boundaries are not signs of what? Indifferences. They are signs of mature care. Boundaries are not a lack of care, but a sign of wise, respectful, and mature ministry that protects everyone involved. I hope we already learn and understand our boundary. So we are going to go to the common boundary areas in community chaplaincy. So what are these areas? So boundaries help chaplains provide care that is compassionate, ethical, and professional. So these are the following key boundary areas. What's the first one? Emotional boundaries. So emotional boundaries we have here. Avoid over identification or rescuing behavior. Chaplain must care deeply but not become emotionally over-involved. Over-identification happens when chaplains take on the person's pain as their own or feel responsible to fix everything. Okay? This can lead to emotional exhaustion and poor judgment. The chaplain's role is there to support, not rescue. Okay, I hope this is clear to us. What else? Do not replace family or community system. Chaplains should not become the person's only emotional support. Instead, they should encourage healthy relationships with family, friends, and community. So in this way, it will prevent unhealthy emotional dependence and promotes long-term well-being. Next, material and financial boundaries. chaplains are not financial providers. The chaplain's primary role is what? Spiritual and emotional care, not financial support. Providing money can create dependency and shift the relationship from spiritual care to material expectation. So the next time you come and visit, they will expect you will give something to them. So let us avoid that one. We are there to give their what? Spiritual care. Next, avoid giving money. What else? Loans or material promises. So giving personal financial assistance may create obligation, maybe favoritism or misunderstanding. It is more ethical to refer individuals to appropriate organization or maybe social services or community resources that are equipped to help such person. So let us avoid giving money or loans or material promises. Like, okay, you need money. I have money here, 1,000 but 1,000 pesos or dollars or $100. Maybe you can give me monthly. No, so let us avoid that one. The next one is role boundaries. Chaplains are not what? Therapists. We are not social workers or political activists. While chaplains provide spiritual support, they must not act beyond their training or professional role. Providing psychological therapy, legal advice, or political influence is outside chaplaincy responsibility unless what? Properly qualified. Yeah, if you are qualified, if you studied psychologist, you know psychological therapy, that's fine, okay? As long as you are qualified to do such role. What else? Referral is ethical, role confusion is not. This means when a person needs specialized help, referring them to trained professionals is the correct and ethical actions. Those who experience trauma. So we should, what's this? Refer them to the right person. So referral shows wisdom and protects the person from harm caused by unqualified care. And the last one here, the common boundaries areas is the spiritual boundaries. It says no proselytizing or coercive prayer. What does this mean? Chaplains must never force beliefs. Pressure someone to convert or impose prayer. Spiritual care must always respect freedom and consent. We should ask the person, is it okay to pray for you? If the person say no, then we should respect. Respect beliefs, doubts, and differing faith traditions. Chaplains serve people of different backgrounds and beliefs. So ethical chaplaincy honors each person's spiritual journey, listens respectfully, and offers support without judgment or pressure. So these are the common areas in community chaplaincy. We have to be careful with emotional, material, financial, role boundaries, and spiritual boundaries. So maintaining the emotional, the financial, the role, and the spiritual boundaries, this helps protects both the chaplain and the community. And these boundaries ensure that chaplains remain what? Ethical, respectful, and focus on compassionate care. Let's proceed. Power, vulnerability, and consent. So as a community chaplain, marginalized individuals are often in vulnerable situations because chaplains are seen as what? Helpers and spiritual leaders. So if you're a chaplain, they will always look to you as helpers and spiritual leaders. So there is a natural power imbalance. This means people may feel pressure to agree or comply even without direct force. Chaplains must be careful to protect freedom, dignity, and voluntary consent. So, what are these? The first one is marginalized individuals may feel pressured to comply due to what? Gratitude. So, we as a chaplains, we must be careful. Some individuals may feel very thankful for the chaplain's presence, care, or assistance. So because of this gratitude, they may feel what? Obligated to agree with the chaplain's advice, beliefs, or requests, even if they are uncomfortable. So as ethical chaplains, we must make it clear that care is given freely with no what? Expectation or agreement or return. Because they're, oh, thank you very much. I hope this small amount can help you, or I hope, like this. So as an ethical chaplains, we must be careful. We must, what's this? Tell them that our care is freely. Okay? What else? Fear of losing support. So they may feel like, oh, maybe the chaplain will not help me anymore. So vulnerable individuals may worry that if they disagree, maybe they may, or even refuse prayer. I'm sorry, prayer is not allowed in the family, or maybe, or do not follow suggestions, the chaplain may stop helping them. Right? True? So that is, they might feel, they might worry about, they may fear about, but chaplains must reassure individuals that support does not depend on compliance or shared belief. You should let them understand, no? Just reassure this individual. What else? They may feel pressured by religious authority dynamics. Chaplains are often viewed as spiritual authorities or representatives of God. Because of this, individuals may feel that refusing the chaplain is like refusing God. So they may feel like that. So this creates a strong influence. So as an ethical chaplain, we must never misuse spiritual authority to control or pressure or manipulate others. So these are, okay, people may feel pressured because of gratitude, fear of losing support, or religious authority dynamic. Sorry. Because of power imbalance and vulnerability, chaplains must ensure that all care, prayer, and spiritual conversations are voluntary and respectful. Ethical chaplaincy protects consent, avoids coercion, and honors the dignity and freedom of every person. Continue. So ethical chaplaincy required. Informed consent. Right? Informed consent means the person clearly understands who the chaplain is, what the chaplain's role is, and what kind of support is being offered. The person must freely agree to receive spiritual care, prayer, or conversation without pressure. Okay? So, as an ethical chaplain, we are going to inform consent. Next one is respect for refusal. Chaplains must respect a person's right to say no. If someone refuses prayer, conversation, or spiritual support, the chaplain must honor that decision without persuasion, without disappointment, or judgment. Respectful refusal protects dignity and freedom. Excuse me first. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so that is not respect refusal. Non-manipulative language. Chaplains must avoid words that create guilt, fear, or pressure. For example, they should not say things that make the person feel obligated to accept prayer or change belief. Maybe we can say, if you will not accept my prayer, you have no blessing today. Or you have to change your belief. Your belief is, this one is not the correct. So language should be gentle. As a chaplain, our language should be respectful and supportive, not controlling. And the last one there is clear explanation of the chaplain's role. Chaplains must explain that their role is to provide spiritual and emotional support, not financial help, therapy, or decision making for the person. In this way, this prevents confusion and helps maintain professional and ethical boundaries. As a chaplain, let us always be reminded that spiritual authority must never be used to control or extract compliance. Because spiritual authority is given to serve, not to control. Chaplain must never use their position or influence or religious role to force agreement or gain compliance or manipulate others. Ethical chaplaincy always protects freedom, dignity, and trust. Avoiding dependency and harm. Dependency happens when individuals rely too much on the chaplain instead of developing their own strength, decision-making ability, and support system. Ethical chaplaincy helps people grow, not become dependent. So dependency can develop when chaplains become the primary problem solver. Dependency Dependency can develop when the chaplain constantly solves the person's problems, makes decisions for them, or fixes every situation. This prevents the person from learning to cope, make choices, and develop resilience. So, the chaplain's role is to guide and support, not to take control. Dependency can develop when assistance is personalized rather than system-based. Dependency grows when help comes only from the chaplain personally, instead of connecting the person to community resources or family support or an organization. Ethical chaplains refer individuals to proper system, so they receive sustainable and appropriate help, not temporary personal assistance. And avoiding dependency can develop when boundaries are unclear. We learned already, no, that there are boundaries. So when chaplains do not clearly explain their role or limits, individuals may expect more than the chaplain can ethically provide. So this can lead to emotional attachment, unrealistic expectations, and unhealthy reliance. That's why we understand our boundaries, because clear boundaries protect both the chaplain and the person. Ethical chaplaincy, as a chaplain, we empowers people rather than making them dependent. Chaplains provide support, guidance, and referrals while maintaining clear boundaries that promote dignity, growth, and independence. Ethical alternatives include, what are these? Empowerment through listening. So in here, ethical chaplaincy helps people grow, not become dependent. That's why there are ethical alternatives that we're going to learn, meaning empowerment through listening. In this way, chaplains help by listening with compassion and respect. Instead of solving every problem, listening allows individuals to express their feelings, clarify their thoughts, and discover their own strength and solution. So this promotes dignity and personal growth. So these are the ethical alternatives to prevent dependency and harm. I hope these approaches will help chaplains provide care that empower peoples while maintaining healthy boundaries. So the next one is referral to appropriate agencies. Chaplains should connect individuals to qualified professionals, organizations, or services that can properly address their needs, such as social workers, counselors, or community aid programs. Referral ensures people receive the right kind of help while maintaining the chaplain's ethical role. And accompaniment without control. This means walking alongside the persons in their journey, offering presence, support, and encouragement without controlling their decision. The chaplain supports but respects the person's freedom and autonomy. Encouraging community-based support. Chaplain helps individuals connect with family, friends, the church, and community network. Strong community support provides what? Strong community support provides long-term care and prevents unhealthy dependence on one person. So these are the alternatives for us to understand to avoid dependency and harm. Ethical chaplaincy focuses on empowering, supporting, and guiding individuals while respecting their independence. The chaplain walks with people, connects them to resources, and encourages community support. So without creating dependency or control. The last one, ethical decision making in community context. Ethical decision making helps chaplains respond wisely, especially in complex or sensitive situations. And discernment. So these are the following questions that we are going to ask in decision making. Is this within my role as a chaplain? So chaplain must ask whether their action fits their spiritual and pastoral care. If the situation requires professional help beyond chaplaincy, such as medical, legal, or psychological care, the referral is the ethical choice. Number 2 question you can ask is, does this preserve dignity and agency? Every action should respect the person's dignity and freedom to make their own decisions. Ethical chaplaincy empowers individuals rather than controlling or speaking for them. Next question. Am I responding out of compassion or guilt? Chaplains must examine their motivation. Ethical care comes from compassion and wisdom, not guilt, pressure, or emotional impulse. Acting out of guilt may lead to poor boundaries and harmful dependency. Who else should be involved? Chaplains should recognize when others, such as family members, community leaders, or professionals, need to be involved. This ensures the persons receive proper and holistic care. And the last question is, what is the least harmful option? Remember in my first, before we start this lesson, I asked, when does helping become harmful? So you can ask, what is the least harmful option? So when facing difficult choices, chaplains should choose the action that minimizes harm and protects the person's well-being, dignity, and long-term growth. Always remember, fellow chaplains, that ethics involves discernment, not perfection. So ethic is not about being perfect, not about making but about making careful, wise, and responsible decisions that protect people and honor the chaplain's role. I have here a case illustration. This is a boundary challenge scenario. I have here a scenario, and I want everyone to share from what we learned. A chaplain is asked for personal financial help by a struggling family. So you may ask these following questions. What ethical issues are present, and what would be an appropriate chaplaincy response? So I am open. I'm willing to listen to your insight, opinion about this scenario. Anyone would like to share? You're asked for personal financial help by a struggling family. So what is your response to this kind of situation? Are you going to say, I will give you some money this time, but please don't tell others. Next time, try to manage better. Is that an appropriate response? Yes, Sir Brighton?
I think on the second question, I would maybe if there are some appropriate channels or agencies that assist financially to disadvantaged or this struggling person, I would maybe refer him or her to that financial aid program or whatever that can assist with finances. I don't know. That's my thought. Hello?
Okay, that is referring, right?
Yes, referring. Yes, I would rather refer to an institution that assists or a social welfare or organization or something.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, we learned that one, no? That if, because as a chaplain, no, we cannot provide financial. Okay, anyone else wants to share? You may apply now. Let us apply as a chaplain. What is your uh, response or appropriate response to this kind of situation? Thank you very much, Sir Brighton. So we learned that as a chaplain, no, we will always refer that person. Yes, Sir Roger.
I think, ma'am, I will call the family, immediate family of that family, and then I will inform that can you help if you have extra, like for example, yeah, same also referring, but not same scenario.
Okay, that's okay.
So same like that, ma'am. I will call the immediate family to inform that one of their family they need some help, but as a chaplain, we are a bridge to connect some people or some agency to help for that
Okay.
patient.
Hello, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Sir Roger. Yes, Ma'am Filipina.
I will refer them to the DSWD government quotation lab and to some NGOs. The NGOs, non-government
Sorry,
quotation.
referring, yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I don't know if only me. I cannot hear clearly, Ma'am Filipina. Your some words are cut off. I don't know. Maybe my signal here. But as what I understood from Ma'am Filipina, also referring, right? Okay. Example. Okay. I am this. I am. Okay. You are facing me right now, and I am that person uh, in need of financial help. What will you say to me? So, example, you are a chaplain, so you are facing now uh, to me. I am that person who is in need for financial help. So, what will you say to me, or what will you tell me? Anyone?
For me, ma'am, I will ask for
So, let
it's.
us make.
I will ask for you to
So,
allow pray.
Mr. Rod, yeah, you are facing me right now. And what will you tell me? I am this person who in need of financial help.
I think, ma'am, I will pray first for you if you
Let's make,
allow.
okay,
So,
you can talk to me as a chaplain,
okay.
and I am that person. Okay.
Okay. Uh,
Let's make it live scenario.
okay. So, hi, good morning, or how are you? How can I help you? So, if you ask about financial something, um, ma'am, I am a chaplain. I don't have money, but I have God. If it is okay to you, I will pray for you, and then let's God help us your situation if it is okay. And then on the other hand, I will call the barangay to refer you or to help you if it is okay for you. I think only that one. It's hard.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Maybe I will say thank you so much, Chaplain Roger. Okay, thank you for your care. So, we see here that you maintain clear boundaries, right? Because the chaplain's role is not to provide personal financial. So you are asking for you offer help by referring me to some agency. Okay. Anyone more? Who else? I want to hear what will you tell me? So this is live scenario. I am here struggling with financial help. Anyone? What will you tell me as a chaplain? Let us always remember that compassion does not mean saying always yes to everything, right? We should always remember that healthy limits, the boundaries, the clear boundaries. Okay, anyone? Maybe the last one? I don't have time anymore.
Ma'am Labon,
Yes.
can I share?
Ma'am Dory, yes.
Maybe if I have financial resources or I'm not really, I have much money, and then I really help them just a little, not all of my resources. But I just only
Okay.
help them also to pray, and then maybe give them some referrals like us, like asking for uh, a government to help them, like in captain or in their barangays, or in the mayor's office, if it is regarding scholarship or financial burden about their children, really want to, some ano kasi po financial reasons is about their education or even health issues like that, or even food also. But I can give them if I have a little in my pocket. I can give them a little help, but it's not all all of my resources or all of the time is I will give them my resources. I will teach them also how to live, how to have that livelihood. Can I will give them that, teach them how to have that resources for them to really earn a living like that, something like that, ma'am. Is it okay?
Hey, yes, yes. Thank you very much, Mom Dory. Yes. Like if you know something like your livelihood, you can teach them, because always remember that as a chaplain, we are to avoid dependency, that they will always depend on you, and then the next time you will come, I know Mom Dory will give me another money again or just a little amount. So instead of that, thank you so much, Mom Dory. You can give them a simple livelihood that they can have income, a small income that can help them with their financial struggle. So, but because always remember, that in this kind of situation, we will always show compassion, but maintain clear boundaries and avoid dependency. So that's why most of us encourages proper support, like referring them to agencies. Maybe in our church, we have an organization that can help them. Okay. And then in this way, we keep the relationship healthy and ethical. Yes, all of your answers are perfect, Always remember, fellow chaplains, that as an ethical chaplaincy, we care them deeply while keeping healthy limits. Like we can say, I care about your situation and I'm here to support you spiritually. You can offer prayer if they will allow you. While you can say, I am not able to provide personal financial help, but I can help you connect with agencies or resources that may assist you. So in this way, it shows compassion because you say, I care about you. And then it maintains clear boundaries. So my role is not to provide personal financial assistance. And then you offer help, appropriate help, meaning you refer that person and then you give spiritual support, like praying for them. Because there's a lot of Bible promises. God cares for you. No, each of us, always remember. So it avoids rejection or judgment. Ah, okay, you will not give me money like that, no? So it prevents dependency and role confusion. So thank you very much for those who shared. Yes, always remember that as a chaplain, we will always avoid dependency and harm. We as a chaplain, it's not that we are always there to help them, like fix their problem. So I think no one will share now, and my time is about already to end. So just uh, our takeaways this morning, that ethics and boundaries protect dignity and trust. Compassion must be guided by responsibility, and chaplains are helpers, not saviors. Saying no can be act of care. And ethical chaplaincy is humble, disciplined, and accountable. So clear limits creates safety. So when chaplain practice ethical boundaries, people feel respected, not used or controlled. Good intentions are not enough. Through compassion, we should act wisely, protect from harm, and consider long-term consequences. As a chaplain, ethical chaplaincy is not about doing more. It is about doing what is right, in the right way, or for the good of those we serve. Fellow chaplains, always remember Christ's method. Christ's method alone will give true success in reaching the people. The Savior mingled with men as one who desired their good. He showed his sympathy for them, ministered to their needs, and won their confidence. Then he bade them follow me. Ellen G. White, Ministry of Healing, page 143. So I'm sorry we don't have enough time. I think our next professor is already here. Next week, we will have more discussion, okay, for this module. We will have more discussions about this. So on our next meeting, we will learn more about chaplains. We will prepare chaplains for complex real-world ministry. Okay, we will learn boundaries, enable sustainable and trustworthy service. So we will apply this principle to specific marginalized sectors. So on our next meeting, we will have more discussions and sharing. So I think that's all for today, everyone. Thank you very much for your participation, and God bless each one of us. So we are going to close this with a prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. Thank you for guiding us in our learning today. Help us to practice chaplaincy with wisdom, integrity, and compassion. Teach us to respect boundaries, protect dignity, and serve others with humility and love. May you guide us as we continue this ministry so that our action may reflect your care and truth. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. God bless everyone. Kapun ka.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mom.
I will send our after the module 3. I think I will send their module 2 in our DP. Thank you, everyone. God bless us.